Welcome to a special edition of the Ridges Nature Lens video series. Today we're here talking with some amazing volunteers for the Ridges Sanctuary, and they've got some very exciting news to share regarding some orchids. So,
hi, I'm Jane Whitney. I'm a volunteer here at the Ridges, obviously, a self-taught naturalist, and I do things like lead hikes, do some mailings, work with Natural Christmas, lead some woodcock frog programs, and orchid trek. We go orchid trekking and work with orchid restoration. Those are the things I do.
I'm Julie Knox, also a volunteer here at the Ridges, self-taught naturalist. I like to do the citizen science things. I love the Orchid project. I've worked on the water action volunteers, the stream monitoring. We've done frog monitoring. We help with bird hikes. Also do some leading other hikes and sweeping for the other hikes. Natural Christmas, of course, lots of time on that. Orchid hunting is about my very favorite of them.
I'm David Barnes, and I'm basically just an orchid hunter, and I go with Jane and Julie because they know way more than I do about everything else, and so I learn a lot from them and enjoy that, but also the thrill of finding orchids on the Ridges property, which was preserved years ago because it had so many orchids.
Well, can you see us whole?
Yeah.
This is what we look like. And sometimes we're in hip waders. Can you see our boots and our ratty shirts and our sticks?
Note the duct tape.
The duct tape, yes. And
David's
we wear ourselves out in our clothing because what we do is we trek way off trail through the ridges and swales. And sometimes the swales have a lot of water and sometimes there's not so much water. But that's not the only place we go. David could speak about where we were to find this new species.
The orchids are in a variety of different environments, and that's what's the beauty of the Ridges. Hugely, the wetlands are where most of the orchids are, and that's why we're wearing boots, and as Jane suggests, sometimes we're wearing hip waders because we are that deep in the water to find the orchids. But then the Ridges with 1,600 acres has areas that have different environments that are higher and drier, and interestingly enough, that's where you're finding orchids this time of the year. And then there's certain orchids like the one we found that likes disturbed areas. And these orchids, the gravel pit that we found them in was something that was worked within the last 10 years, which is why this orchid probably wasn't here 20 years ago or 30 years ago when Roy Lukes was here. But it is now here, and all right, we are really excited to discover a new orchid, and the new orchid was the casei's Ladies Tresses. It's very similar to other orchids, so it was a bit of a challenge, and that's why I hike with Jane and Julie, because they're the ones that say, hey, hold it, just a minute here. This isn't the normal Ladies Tresses that we're finding literally within several feet of it. But this one's different, and get out the books and key it out and figure out the whole list. This is something new.
I think the thing that made it stand out the most was slightly different color, a little bit creamier color, and the arrangement of the blossoms kind of spiral up in a single spiral up the stem, whereas most of ours that we've been seeing have several spirals going up.
It just looked different.
It just looked different. Yeah.
So we found it, and then we stand there and we start to GPS it, thinking it was the Sphinx Ladies Tresses, and then we stand there and we say, I don't know, I think that looks different. What do you think? And then we go all right. Oh, I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that? And then so we do that enough times and we finally say, yeah, it's different. Let's do something about it.
Spend quite a bit of time on our hands and knees with a variety of books, checking the characteristics and looking through hand lenses. Before we get excited and call Matt and say, hey, we think we found something.
We found at Apples Bluff, and we found about seven total, maybe.
On the Ridges property.
On the Ridges property, and what's really exciting is not just is this new species for the Ridges property, it's new for Door County. So that was especially exciting once Matt confirmed it for us, and then he confirmed it with a few other people. So new species for the county. How exciting is that? 28. But you know, it's like naming the 7 dwarfs. We've been working and we got up to 26. Matt says we have 28. So over the past 3 or 4 years, we've been taking this inventory for the ridges, and so you tend to think, oh yeah, forget about some of that. 28 orchids we've found in the past 3 or 4 seasons. Different species here on the ridges.
I just personally want to thank these 3 and all of our volunteers, but especially these 3 for spending way more time than I would ever be able to out in the wilderness, fighting off mosquitoes and black bait, no, not really, but really going into the depths of the ridges, which is beautiful country. Most people aren't able to actually see it, but that's where the heart of the biodiversity of the ridges lies. And to be able to inventory it and to take account of it is incredibly helpful for our organization. So again, it just really goes to the value of our devoted volunteers. And I know that you mentioned the different capacities that you volunteer for the ridges, and it's all incredibly valuable. And this is just a monument to what self-taught volunteers can really do in any organization and how valuable it is for us. So thank you for finding number 28 for us, and here's to hoping number 29 next year.
Thank you.